Hello, Cancer. We're gonna just get right into your end of June reading here. We got some stuff to talk about. Your guys' spirit animal for the last portion here of June is the gorilla. Have you guys ever just sat and watched the gorillas at the zoo? They're like this majestic, walking abundance of force and strength. And then have you ever seen them when they have a baby or one of their kids per se, we'll call them, with them? And they're little youngsters just being a little shit and taunting them. Like, that parent gorilla could totally just take out the little youngster, like, without even trying. But the gorilla is totally aware of their strength. And when it comes to that vivacious and curious little youngster, the gorilla is so matter of fact, and it uses that mindset as it redirects or disciplines its young. It's done so delicately, with love and compassion and care, but yet matter of fact, and there's no question about what the gorilla was, or what the parent was trying to get across. Because of that, the little youngsters continue to trust that they can be themselves around their parents and not worry about being totally belittled or made to feel inferior. The parent just simply sets boundaries and is very matter of fact. Going into your work, career, and finance, you have the Queen of Swords. Like the gorilla, the Queen of Swords has the ability to be harsh or cutting. She also has that matter-of-fact personality. She's one to set boundaries. But she also knows when it's necessary to put her foot down, that she has to put her foot down in a matter-of-fact manner without shying away from it, but yet being mindful of her approach. So I think even though you may have some strong opinions as to what needs to be done, whether it's in your work life or your home life, you think you know the answer as to how to fix some problem or issue, you need to be mindful of what approach you use. No matter what situation you're in, you don't need to proclaim these problems or these answers or these great ideas you have by throwing swords. No matter if you are a man or a woman, you have this female that you go to for advice. She always seems to know exactly how to deliver a message to you. Like, you could have the absolute highest skilled or most qualified individual giving you advice and you won't listen, but this person, anything she says, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You need to go to her this month because for some reason you listened to her. Even if that person is no longer with you, She's still here in spirit. She hears you, she sees you. All you need to do is ask. But I think there's been so many things that you're maybe unsure of how to progress or move forward or move on or dig yourself out of, that it's come to the point where you have to go talk to this person. Your spirit guides gave you guys the card Spirit Keeper of the South. Have you ever just stood in your window or out on the dock at the lake and felt the warmth of the sun all around you, just beat down on you? When was the last time anything in your current life has brought you that same warm embrace feeling? Better yet, when was the last time you offered that warm embrace feeling? And I don't know why, but I feel like saying to your kids, to your son, to your husband or your wife, but specifically to your son. I don't know who exactly I'm connecting with here, but does he know that he's not inferior? Are you aware of how many times you've belittled him with your harsh and cutting words, always throwing swords? If you are aware of that, then it would make even more sense when we look at the affirmations deck, because you got forgiveness. Forgiveness is hard. Forgiveness of others takes courage and sometimes a new mindset. But forgiving yourself is often the most scary and seemingly impossible of all. How could you possibly forgive yourself of your list a mile long or your mountain a mile high of failures and shortcomings and disappointments and all the times you've let everybody else down, including yourself? But what if you could forgive yourself? What if you could forgive yourself of all of your own self-perceived, hear that, Cancer, hear that, self-perceived shortfalls, shortcomings, failures? If you could forgive yourself for all of the times that you maybe didn't meet your own expectations or didn't feel like you met the expectations of others, can you imagine the amount of love you would be able to give to others? If you let that guard down, that wall that you've put up, because you're fearful of letting anybody else down or failing anybody else, if you could let that wall down and say, I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to trust, because the possibility of me being able to offer others love is far more abundant, filled with just the most amazing blessings and the most fulfilling thoughts of love, like the sun all around you. If you choose to not be vulnerable, you deny yourself and others of proving to yourself and that you can give that love. You deny others receiving your love. But if you can step into that sense of vulnerability, knowing that the risk is so worth the gain, there will be so much healing the rest of this month for you guys. So much healing. In your love and relationships, you guys have go with the flow and opportunity knocks. The go with the flow card. You know how you guys get used to like the flaws of your car? I mean, like you just know that it's like almost second nature now to roll your window down to open your door because you've been doing it for so long. Or you know that you have to jiggle the keys 6 times and then smack them once into the ignition to make sure that, it's going to start. And it just becomes your habit. And then you get a different car and you go to roll the window down and you're like, oh, look at that. This door handle works. Never mind. Because you got comfortable with it. Or it became a pattern or a habit. That same thing can happen with living a life of resistance or struggle or resentment or fear. You have to let that go. You have to, and just go with the flow. You cannot keep paddling upstream when the universe is saying, stop, turn your kayak around, and just enjoy the ride. Take in the beauty that surrounds you and go with the flow. Quit fighting it. Quit trying so hard to go the opposite direction of where you really want to be. Because opportunity knocks. What have you been asking for? What have you been wishing for, hoping, praying? Have you noticed somebody lately, they're always catching your eye? But, I don't know, you're divorced, right? You already failed at that, so can't try for a new relationship because you already failed at that. No, Cancer, go for it. Just don't deny yourself the opportunity to be happy again. Your past does not define your future. Ever. So you've had some less than stellar performances. Who cares? Everybody has. That's called a shitty movie. They overcome. They make a new movie. They redeem themselves. You gotta love the man or the woman in the mirror. And then you have to allow that person to love others. There's so much love around you. There are so many people around you who are hoping and praying that you will find the ability to love again because they miss you. So whoever your lady of wisdom is, you need to go get some advice from her. And like I said, she sees you, she hears you. Talk to her. Chances are she's probably been throwing shit in your way anyhow, and you're just ignoring it because you're stubborn. But you've got to go, Cancer. You've got to get this done. No more denying yourself happiness and love, because opportunity knocks. Are you going to be ready to answer? I will see you in July, Cancer.